Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all fandoms, welcome to the Ferret and Raccoon podcast, episode 100. I'm Ferret.
I'm Ace.
And I'm the Angry Raccoon. And yes, we are doing a podcast 100. As you can hear, everyone, well, the main original set is here. So obviously we've got Ferret, we've got Ace, I'm back, and podcast 100. We finally made it.
I wish we had one of those little, those radio buttons where you press them and then celebration. Yay!
We could do that we could do that.
Yeah.
I mean, we could get a, I forget what it's called. It's
We
like
could
a
hire one.
A soundboard.
a soundboard or a sampler mixer or something like that. I mean, maybe that's something to
Look forward to.
save up some money
Yeah.
for. But yes, we are here for the 100th podcast. We finally hit 300. Well, not 300, almost. I meant to say 3 digits. Finally hit 3 digits, and it's taken almost 4 years to get to this point.
It has
I think so.
taken a number of years.
It's been a while, but we're finally here, and we've got quite the special podcast, because not only is it podcast 100, it's also the final podcast of October, aka 2018 Halloween, and so we'll be doing some fun stuff for that. So this is definitely going to be a themed and special and jam-packed podcast, so hopefully you guys enjoy. But first, like we always do, we're going to talk about what we did over the last few weeks or so, and we'll start off with Ferret, because I know you've been away for a while, but how has October been treating you for the most part?
For the most part, it's been very, very interesting. I've been having to do a lot of musical things. I've been having to play in the studio, rehearse, and I'm also in next month I'm flying over to New Orleans to join my sister's tour of she's having with 9 Inch Nails, so that's going to be massive.
That's brilliant.
Which is crazy
Yeah.
Crazy.
to think. I mean, I know of 9 Inch Nails. I'm not the biggest fan of them, but that is amazing to hear.
They are the big boys.
They are.
Been around for a
Cannot
while
lie.
as well, yeah.
Yeah.
They have. They've been around the block a couple
Big
of
time,
times.
and stayed, relatively relevant and consistent
Yeah.
for the most part. So to be around for that long and to have a career like that is
I think
amazing. And then
every musician wishes for that.
yeah. I mean, you can either just stay relevant forever or just like have that moment and be consistent. You know what I mean? And either one of those two are great.
Yeah, thank you. And I've been playing World of Warcraft a lot.
Oh no!
And I'm waiting for Classic. And
Classic?
I can't wait. Yeah,
What's
Classic WoW, where it's they're creating a server where they restore it back to one of the original patches, 1.2.
Took them long enough.
Yeah.
Took them long enough. Yep, exactly.
Considering how many people love that, that like the legacy content like that, and they don't like the modern stuff, it feels like it should have been ages ago.
Should have always been an option, honestly.
Yeah.
Attacking where it hurts and the subscribers, then they'll listen. Cheeky
yeah.
buggers. But yeah, that's all me wrapped up. How about you, Ace?
I've kind of had quite a jam-packed 2 weeks. I've been like very busy, mostly watching films, and I've got 2 very kind of different films I want to talk about here.
Okay.
The first is the Halloween sequel to the original that came out this year.
You mean? Oh, okay. I see.
The
what you mean.
third Halloween.
Oh, so
But
you
it's
weren't-
not Halloween 3.
It's not Halloween 3.
No, but it's
Oh,
the third Halloween.
But it's the third Halloween
Yeah.
film. Oh, because I thought it was the second
no, it's
Halloween
the
film.
11th Halloween film.
Is
But
it?
it's the
Because
second
I thought it
Halloween
was
film.
the 9th Halloween film.
No, but it's the third actual Halloween film.
What? So this is not Halloween 2.
No.
It's not
Although it
Halloween
kind
2.
of is Halloween 2.
Oh, okay.
Because it's a sequel to the original.
But
it's the
I
11th
also heard it has
yeah.
some relation to Halloween 3.
No, it's kind of because it's the first Halloween.
But is it also a remake of H2O, which was kind of like
But
the
it kind
second
of
film,
discontinues
and
it.
then it kind of like got a bit
Yeah.
confusing because they're kind of like redoing it and such.
This is
Exactly.
This is
okay,
complex.
so it's that film then.
It's very simple to understand.
Okay,
yes.
yeah, all right.
This is
I get it now.
complex humour at the finest. Yeah. This is very complex. It's beyond me, I have to be said.
But yes, other than making fun of how messy this franchise is and how people don't know how to name things anymore,
No.
because we now technically have 4 films named Halloween,
Yeah.
all having
You've got to
almost
keep
the
it
same
simple.
Exactly.
plot and stuff like that. Yes, this was kind of like a rage. Talk of the Town, wasn't it? This film.
Yeah. I really like the original Halloween, and as they go on, I kind of don't like them too much. I like 3 a lot.
Oh, 3's
which
great.
is the only non-Michael Myers one in the whole series.
Oh.
Because originally Halloween was supposed to be an anthology where each
Yeah.
film would be different, but the first one was so popular I had to do a second Michael Myers. But the third one's great. H2O is a really nice kind of love letter to the series in general.
It's fun.
Resurrection is horrible, but hilarious. And then Rob Zombie's like 2 are his weird grittiness that don't fit Halloween, but they're still interesting.
They've got some moments.
Yes.
They're worth a watch, but don't expect a good film, I would say.
But this new one, it's a sequel to the original, set about 30-ish, 40-ish years later. And I was surprised by how much I enjoyed this. I went in with no expectation and I came out very happy. It blends a nice set of humanistic humour alongside the pure apathy and horror of Michael's evil, which I was shocked at how well they did that. They didn't even rely too much on the original theme. There are actually some new stuff in there, specifically one that's very Inception inspired, which actually stood out very well and it was great. The synth in general was brilliant.
Yeah, because it's composed by John Carpenter himself.
Exactly. Returned.
Back in the studio.
Yep. But it was surprisingly good. Even thematically, it goes against all the bad Halloween sequels and returns to the original idea, which I'm so happy with. Standout side characters too. I loved the sandwich conversation. It was stupid and perfect and it humanized them so much.
I've heard about the sandwich conversation,
It's
but let's not get into too many spoilers with that.
Yeah, and then the standout character, Julian, the kid, he's amazing. I love this character and I want him to return. Make Halloween 2 just for him, please.
I don't know about that. And I was just kind of thinking as well, given the somewhat positive reception regarding this film, to think we had so many returning IPs and Halloween was the only one that even made a dent.
Exactly.
I mean, because we had like Predator and a few other franchises come back, and it was just like, wow, I didn't think any of them were, I guess, going to make it. The only thing I'm concerned about is I really hope they don't make a sequel.
Well, that's the thing. I think they will if it makes money, but it doesn't need one. It's a nice ending. It's perfectly ended how it is.
Yeah, but they're going to try and make a sequel.
I know.
Where they mess it up again, and then we'll be here 5 years later going, oh, Halloween is out.
Well, then it'd be the third Halloween 2.
Or 3, or whatever they want to call it, because they like messing up the timeline and all this other rubbish. But anyway, what was the other film you watched?
The other film, and this is where I'm going to put a bit disclaimer here. So, I love very ambitious films that they clearly don't have the budget, the means, or the production for what they're going for, but they do it anyway. This is An American Werewolf in Paris.
Oh,
the sequel to American Werewolf in London.
Oh.
This film is, it's hard to explain.
Too right, it's hard to explain.
It's a comedy horror that's got nothing really to do with the original except for some references. For example, ghost friends come back, people turn into werewolves, all that stuff. But it's so weirdly ambitious in what it's trying to do. It almost parodies the previous film whilst implementing its own interesting comedy and horror. There's one scene in a cafe that is literally the most standout scene, and I loved that scene every moment. It involves a condom as a piece of chewing gum. It was fantastic. I was shocked.
Condom as
Yes, he chews the condom and then blows it up like a piece of bubble gum.
Wow.
It's amazing. And then there's this weird scene in a dark corridor with a werewolf approaching people, but they can't see it, but they're trying to get their flashlight to work, so the audience just see flashes of it getting closer, which is really good horror. But in general, the film's, it's so it's like early 2000s trash, but in the 90s. It's so odd, and I kind of love it for that.
I think this whole film is garbage, and I've seen this film. I think it's absolute rubbish. And I mean, if you want to talk about how there was ambition, that's fine. I don't think there was any ambition.
That's fine.
Because if you go and see the wolf transformation scene from that film,
I know.
and the original
They
film,
clearly didn't have the budget.
they didn't. No, they didn't try with that.
I disagree.
I disagree. You disagree.
Fair enough.
But like, and No, there's too much in this film that doesn't make sense and is like way too poor. It was like literally just a cheap attempt.
Oh,
to
I agree, it was cheap. But...
get on that. And I mean, the scene when he's jumping off the Eiffel Tower is
that's
baffling
amazing.
as hell. It's the worst scene, one of the worst scenes I've seen in film history.
Especially when he's going back up, it's so amazing.
Yeah, on a wire string
Yes. It's perfect.
that his friends are holding him by
Yeah.
as he jumps off the
To catch a woman.
very straight Eiffel
Yeah.
Tower, because we all know the Eiffel Tower is straight, so you can just
Yeah,
you can
it's
just
not
jump
as if
down
it's
it.
curved
It's not
as it
curved
goes.
or anything. You
Yeah.
can just jump straight down it and land perfectly, like perfectly fine, as long as you roll.
Oh yeah.
As long as
yeah.
you can jump off any
I
building
think this
as
is
long as you
another
roll.
case of complex humour.
It's
I
it's
don't
a
think so.
very interesting film, in my opinion.
I will agree with that. It is an interesting film, but
When
I
I
don't
hear
think
a
it's-
werewolf jumping off an Eiffel Tower.
Oh no, he's not well.
You're
for
not
that
well
point.
for that point, no.
Yeah.
Wow, he's okay.
Yeah, he's just an extreme bungee jumper,
Oh, okay.
and he catches a woman who's also jumping off the Eiffel Tower to kill herself. But he catches her shoe.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what that has to do with the theme of werewolves. but
I'm not sure, but it comes back at the end, and it's even funnier then.
I can imagine.
Yeah, I kind of love this film. I really do.
If this film wasn't so forgotten and obscure, I guess we would do an audio commentary track on
Yeah.
it, but I ain't finding that DVD.
Well, that's the thing. I found it on. I'm not sure if it was Amazon Prime or Netflix. So
Yeah, no wonder.
yeah, that was.
That's a rare find right
You
there.
really hate them.
This one. It was a fun night.
It's not
watching that.
it's not the worst film I've ever seen. It's just trash.
Yeah,
Like 100%. And
if you removed the American Werewolf in name, then it would be very fun trash with no attachment to anything else.
Ah, I see.
it doesn't make a lot of sense neither.
It does not.
It makes
Like,
no sense.
If I tried to describe the plot, I would get confused.
Yeah, it's not a great film, but I guess a film worth knowing about.
Yes,
I guess,
definitely.
especially soon as they're trying to do another sequel to the
No,
original
they?
film. Yeah,
Wow.
they're trying to spin it to the they're trying to spin it in some kind of fan favorable way where they're like, yeah, the director's son is gonna make it, and I'm like,
oh,
I don't
God.
care.
But everyone hates him, don't they? At the moment.
I don't know if everyone hates him. but-
American Werewolf in Tokyo. That sounds pretty cool, doesn't it?
I actually kind of want to make that.
It sounds quite
A
cool.
werewolf in Tokyo would be fantastic,
Yeah.
especially modern day Tokyo.
Okay,
American Werewolf.
well, we've got our $1 billion idea.
Well, we
Yeah.
Paul Feige.
Yeah, we can just
Yeah.
hit him up.
Yeah.
I think the way we're all dressed right now and the way we look, I think we kind of look a bit like directors.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
the directors can look like anything.
Niche directors as well.
Well, one of us needs a turtleneck.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Turtleneck, of course. But yeah, I'm kind of shocked by that. Kind of taken back. I was also kind of taken back at Comic-Con, which happened on the 26th to 27th to 28th of October. This is the London Comic-Con, which happens twice a year, which I went to just for one day, and I had a pretty good time there, which was nice. Not to say I haven't had good times, but I've had very varied mixed experiences. One of the best parts was the fact that it opens at 12 on a Friday, but they just let everyone in at 11:20.
Oh,
Wow. Nice.
Yeah, I think they just went, screw it. Too many people, just let them in.
Yeah, exactly. No
Like,
point making us.
Was it a rush of like just bodies
No,
pushing each? Wow.
no, it was organized. It was literally, they literally just said, bunch up, go in.
Damn.
Just get a machine gun out.
No.
It's a lot better than Black Friday. Then.
Yeah, it was way organized. I think they literally just went, there's no point letting these people queue in line
Yeah.
if there's, I mean, and the thing was, Friday, there was hardly anyone there.
Wow.
Honestly, like, it was very spare. There's certain places where it is quite crowded, but they are like quite narrow sections and stuff. But yeah, it was like, gosh, you could get photo shoots done, and I did get photo shoots done there as well. Really fun. This was probably one of the years where they had the most things and the most photo opportunities.
Yeah.
They had a like snow globe, which was kind of promoting the Grinch, the new Benedict Cumberbatch Grinch film.
Oh, he's
made
in
by
that.
yeah, he's the Grinch.
I didn't even realise that.
Yeah, just because he's doing such a good job.
He's everywhere now.
playing
isn't he?
playing the character. No, I think the voice is fine. I'm not.
Oh,
tr-
okay.
I'm not. I'm,
No,
I'm
no,
not
I
trying
know,
to
yeah.
diss him. I'm just
No.
saying, like, you just can't tell it's him, and that's
Yeah.
can be considered a
I was-
testament of good acting.
Surprised. Yeah.
They also had that, which is cool. They also had a photo shoot for Mandy, where you
Nice.
had the blade from Mandy. You could take some shots with it, which is pretty cool. They also had one for Glass, the M. Night Shyamalan film, where you could sit in either the wheelchair, the chair, and like the chains from the poster, which was pretty cool. And it had the exact lighting from the poster, like the purple, green, and yellow. So it actually looks like that. So I don't know how the photo would turn out, but I think given the lighting, it would actually have like the very obscure like shadow. So even if it is you won't be able to tell it's you from a distance. And a lot of other really cool stuff and events and stuff like that. I know CEX were giving out like chocolate and stuff like that.
Oh wow!
Which was pretty cool. And got to shout out the boys, all the anime Limited, having that hookup, having the Me exhibition and all the good stuff and parts of the other exhibition done by I can't remember his name right now. The director of like The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, Summer Wars, Wolf Children, The Boy and His Beast.
Mamoru Hosoda, maybe.
Mamoru Hosoda, yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
They had some of that there, so they were killing it this year. But yeah, really fun exhibition. Well, yeah, the exhibition was fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, really fun Comic-Con. They really went all out, and yeah, definitely restored a little bit of like faith in it and that stuff. The only other thing I did was I watched the anime Laid Back Camp or Yui Camp.
Okay.
Which I guess you could kind of call Cute Girls Go Camping, basically. And this is a pretty fun and very relaxed and very calm anime. It wasn't stupid.
Yeah.
Although the main character, who is this, I can't say her name, is too long. She's like this pink-haired, not very smart child.
Okay.
And although she could be considered annoying, and the main character, who's this other very quiet, I like to be on my own kind of character, is kind of just dealing with this character for the most part. And their relationship is intentionally slow.
Yeah.
To kind of come together, basically, which is nice, because they meet on a literal chance, and you have very even the first episode, a great contrast where Rin, who's like the main character, she kind of rolls up on her bike, sets up a camp and stuff, sees a girl just sitting there at a bus stop sleeping, and then a couple hours later she's terrified and he's like, I don't know where I am, what's going on, it's now dark. To which she has to look after her until her sister comes and picks her up and understandably punches her in the head.
That was quite funny.
Because she was missing for 12 hours, and she's new to the city, so it's like, yeah, no wonder. If that was my child, I'd punch him and drag him to hell in the car. Like, where are you?
Yeah.
Chain them up. You're not leaving.
Big time. But the series is really nice and has some really fun and nice elements. Like, one thing I thought it was going to be about was the main character Rin. She's not a snob. She's not an expert at camping. She doesn't come across as unlikable, but at the same time, she's very, I like my personal space, to the point where there's a very interesting moment where you have like literally two sides of the same story, where you have the camping club in the school, they go camping, and then her who does it on her own. And then what was interesting was they were basically going to the same place, and there's a moment where the pink-haired character basically says, oh, where are you, whereabouts are you? Instead of saying where she is, she instead sends her a video link to a live feed of a street where she is, and she's just waving at it. Which is interesting because it's a nice gesture, but at the same time she really doesn't want any chance of them knowing where she is exactly, and possibly ruining her experience, which I think was an interesting kind of character trait, to have a character that's that. No, I'm not gonna take that chance. She doesn't find it that annoying, but she does remark her as being very stupid.
Yeah,
but it's a fun series. It's probably not the best thing you'll see. It's not gonna blow you away, other than the animation, and the backgrounds are amazing, very autumny, very cold, and very lots of folk music.
I think
as the soundtrack.
Like
you might like it. It's a nice
very
watch.
Attractive.
Yeah.
If you have time, I would give it a watch. But other than that, it's a really enjoyable watch. But yes, that's all I've been doing for the most part. Let's talk about the general fortnight, which is unfortunately the last-ish week of October, which is a shame. And the first story I was going to talk about this one, wasn't I?
Yes, you were.
With the fact that it's pretty good news. We are kind of, weirdly enough, we're big fans of kind of like preserving media.
Yes.
And essentially what has happened was a horror film that was missing for about 50 years is finally going to be re-released this October for 2 weeks as of this recording.
Brilliant.
It's going to be on the BFI website, which is pretty cool. This is the Telltale Heart, which is a Edgar Allan Poe adaptation, which came out in 1953. So they're finally going to be releasing it on the BFI, and hopefully we get a DVD release at some point. But
hopefully.
as of right now, you can go and watch the 20-minute film on the website, which
that's great.
I'm going to put in the description. So you can go finally see this lost piece of media, which is great. And it's funny because almost with all these cases when it's lost media, it's always like in a castle or in someone's desk drawer. This was some guy just bought this, and then it was in his attic when he was cleaning.
Oh, wow.
And he just found it, like this lost film.
It's Scotland, isn't it?
He might. I don't think he bought it in Scotland. The film,
the
film that was found in a castle was in Scotland.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But yeah, pretty interesting. So definitely go check that out.
Yeah,
awesome news.
Considering BFI, also they recovered the lost film, which is one of my favourites from the 70s, Deep End. I'm just so happy that they're so determined on finding lost media in this sense.
Yeah, which is good. I mean, they're very trusted with it, and I appreciate all their hard work and stuff like that. Some of the films I've watched that they've restored, they've done a fantastic job with.
Exactly.
Which is cool. But that was like the main thing, kind of keeping with the theme of like October and Halloween and stuff like that.
It's a good way to open up the podcast, I feel.
I think so. Free stuff. Basically, I think so we can kind of move on to our main topics, and I think the first one isn't quite Halloween.
No, it's
themed.
a bit of
I'd
a
say
cool
it could be
contrast.
Depends.
Definitely. Definitely.
Depends on who's playing it. Yeah, there's a evangelical group. I don't know how to pronounce their name, but it's very easy to research them. And they've released a Christian alternative to Pokemon Go named Follow JC Go. It doesn't take much of an imagination to find out what JC means. Concept, as you would expect, is identical to Pokemon Go. But
Except
instead,
go on.
But there's always a but.
Yeah,
Instead of catching Pokemon, they're in a hunt for religious people and figures and biblical creatures and wonderful stuff like that.
Yeah, already just with that concept, I'm like, I know for already this game is shocking inferior to Pokemon Go, simply because I know for a fact there isn't 700 plus like saints and biblical characters.
Yeah.
So already you're going to be pretty drained, limited for figures to catch, I guess, or see, or whatever you're supposed to do with them in
Can
that
you
kind of
catch
stuff.
Lucifer in this? I'd be very intrigued.
That's on the DLC.
He might be the final boss.
You get a final boss. Yeah.
When you collect them all.
Mew. That's the Mew equivalent. Anyway.
Satan's 150.
Apparently, it cost $500,000 to create and 2 years to design the initial concept, which is mental. And as of now, it's only available in Italy and Spain.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, it's got the endorsement of the Big Papa himself, the Pope.
Yeah, which is quite interesting.
Weird.
I mean,
That's quite.
It kind of makes sense to some extent because back when, I'm going to explain this point. Like when Pokemon Go first came out and they had the gyms, most of the gyms were churches.
Yeah.
And a lot of churches and people in that position kind of consider that to be some kind of sign. So which they kind of use that. Maybe they kind of use that as their spin to kind of like promote and get interest in the faith to some extent, and even there's that as well. And I mean, obviously things they're clearly just out to profit from this, which is interesting because I'm pretty sure if you're marketing something like this with microtransactions, although it is common in these kinds of games, I think it's definitely going to bring up some ethical issues if you're charging money for something like this big time. And I understand that might be the whole point, and probably is the whole point, but still, I do find it a bit ironic that back when Pokemon rose to its popularity in the 90s, Christianity and Christian figures were critical and very negative of Pokemon itself.
Condemning it as Satanism.
Evil, witchcraft, demonic. I mean, and quote from one person, Pokemon is the world of the demonic.
Yep.
And I think it's very funny that they've now been inspired to make this game to turn a profit.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I think is kind of interesting. I don't know if anyone's going to play this game. I'm sure some people are.
I'm sure a lot.
If it's free, maybe I'll check it out.
Yeah,
might be worth a little bit of time. But it's I don't know. I found that so funny.
I think all these people need Jesus.
They really
I think
do.
these religious people need Jesus.
They need him in the burner.
And I mean,
Bibble decks.
In the Bibliodex.
That's good right there.
Yeah.
I mean,
have you seen the trailer for it? It looks
I've seen it.
ridiculous.
No, it's a bit
Just,
nothing special, honestly. And I mean, I can kind of understand that they're trying to kind of, and I don't want to get, I'm not going to get like really dark on this subject, but I guess they're trying to kind of restore the image of the Christian faith and like that kind of stuff, which I guess kind of makes sense, but that is a lot of damage to make up for.
No, they're not. They're just trying to get some money.
And that as well.
100%.
Yeah.
And that as well, but...
I mean, there is kind of a lot of stuff they do want to make up for. I mean, the Westboro Baptist Church is one of the worst stains on Christianity.
Yeah.
And then you've got all the...
cases.
Yeah, the cases of stuff that I'm not going to mention.
We'll leave it at cases.
Yeah.
You can look that up if you need to for whatever reason.
Pretty sure you already know.
But yeah, let's kick it off with the first trailer we have, which I believe you have, Ace.
Yes. So this trailer is for the Kid Who Would Be King, about a young school kid who ends up finding the Sword in the Stone and essentially becoming the defender of Earth, I guess, against Morgana and her evil creatures.
It's not really known.
No. Very obscure, going off Arthurian mythology, which no one really knows much about at all. It's very mild.
Yeah.
It actually looks really silly and fun.
It is very much is a family film, and we're not gonna give it too much of a flack for the most part. I do have some issues with it. I mean, it is a nice take that they're like kind of like the next generation, of like King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, which is kind of interesting, and I think it kind of reminds me a lot of like Young Sherlock Holmes.
Oh yeah,
one of the most underrated films of all time.
Yeah.
So maybe
with great special effects in that film. The glass stained window bit is amazing.
Woof. That's a video right there.
Exactly.
And I mean, there were a few jokes that did kind of get a bit of chuckle out of me. Like I did kind of like them unfolding the table to make it round, and I think the line where the teacher says that, this will be replacing lessons today, when it's like, you got to fight for thing, and then no one wants to do it. But if there's no lessons today, then sure they'll do it.
The Mario Kart line got a very mild snicker from me.
I didn't like that line.
No, because it was so cliche.
It was so cliche, and it doesn't make sense. Because no, it wouldn't teach you how to do that. Mario Kart isn't about outrunning demons. Like it's a little bit more complex.
It might if you read into it in a different way.
And I mean, to be fair, yes, there was a child who did manage to save her family driving a car slowly to the curb thanks to her playing Mario Kart, but that's a different thing. No, the real story that did happen.
know, but it's so amazing.
That did happen. Like I
love it.
I think something happened to the person who was driving, and the child literally was able to like steer the car and stop it.
Yeah,
which did the noises as well.
No,
threw a banana when
when the police started approaching.
Oh yeah.
Jeez. Look out, blue shell. But yeah,
I don't know. Claim it. That's weird. That's so weird.
I don't know. I mean,
but yeah, I thought it looked really good. I
mean, it doesn't look bad. I was just saying.
No, I'm not saying you guys.
It looked fun.
Think it's bad.
I think this could be a good film for kids. The only thing that bothered me was the Mario Kart line.
Yeah,
and I think I wasn't quite agreeing with the whole teacher kind of saying like or implying that the world is tough and you need to change. No teacher would say that.
Yeah.
I don't think, and because I think for the most part a lot of films, a lot of children would kind of be about kind of like the message or something like that would be like, no, you should be yourself.
Yeah.
And I think this is kind of like one of those cases of they've probably maybe amped up the bullies too much, and they've kind of made his surroundings so bad, and they're trying to look for a reason for it to be a bit of a conflict, because I mean, any child who's doing that to another child would be suspended nowadays. If they found out that you hung a child upside down, that's it, you're going to the next school.
Yeah.
Simply put. The school system, the education system is very serious about that kind of rubbish.
Yeah.
So
it's not the 90s anymore. You can't just do anything.
No, I mean the villain girl was a bit boring.
Yeah.
And the CGI needs some work.
I think my biggest issue, and this is kind of an issue with most Arthurian things in general, is obviously they're not going to critique monarchy because the whole point is, yay, King Arthur, which I always have issues with.
Everyone loves King Arthur. King Arthur is an idea a lot of people can get behind.
And in the words of Monty Python, a woman at the bottom of a bathtub distributing swords is not a system for a basis of government.
That's good.
Exactly.
Well, it's Monty Python, of course it's good.
Yeah. Although obviously for them it was lake, not bathtub. I adapted it for this film.
Fair enough. Let's hit him off with our first Halloween trailer, which is The Curse of La Llorona.
La
Llorona?
Llorona, I think.
La Llorona.
Yeah.
La Llorona,
So I've
yeah.
made a mistake. I've added one too many. I've added another N
Oh,
to it,
okay.
unfortunately. Yeah, this is the teaser trailer coming from James Wan produced.
Okay.
His next film, which I don't think is in the Conjuring cinematic universe, the
Thank God for
second
that.
most successful cinematic universe
Yeah.
right now. And this is the next subject matter. The Ghost of La Llorona.
La Llorona.
La
I
Llorona.
think.
La Llorona.
Yeah, that's
La
my guess.
Llorona. We're just gonna
Yeah, you
call it,
don't-
we're gonna call her La. from
Yeah,
now
yeah.
on.
Alright.
Don't give
Um,
it a second now.
She's obscure enough for them for the mainstream, and I mean, Mexican Latin
Yeah.
culture is pretty popular now, so I guess it makes sense. Well, it
They've
is,
got to
though.
capitalise on it, you know.
Well, it is. I mean, Mexico is quite a hot button issue, unfortunately.
So just steal their culture.
Steal everything and then
Yeah.
copyright it. Copyright
Exactly.
all
I
their
wouldn't call
national
it stealing,
holidays.
But yeah,
When it's a business doing it, I call it stealing.
fair enough.
It is. I mean, it's a shame the monster looks generic because I've seen
Yeah.
depictions of her looking way more interesting. But I mean, I think what I liked the most
Yeah.
was the car sequence,
Oh, yeah.
and I liked it because there still hasn't been a good horror film that takes place in a car,
Okay.
and this scene got close to that. Like, there was actually moments where they actually had, like, a tiny bit of tension with the rolling down of the windows and the kids, like, scrambling around. Like, that could actually work done in the right context. They ruined it with the jump scare, of course.
That's the thing. I found that scene hilarious.
Hilariously well done. You can spin it that way, but, like,
I just found it funny. It
even
was like,
still, that's
oh, no,
something.
The ghost's gonna get him.
Yeah, it was stupid when you open the car
Yeah.
door because there's a bit of, there's like someone's jumper there and she's there and it's like, oh no. Like, I would have been shocked if she wasn't there, and that's how the trailer
Exactly.
ended. She just went, oh, okay, I'm not even bothering with these children anymore.
Yeah.
Like, and I mean, what? And that's the thing as well. Oh, I mean, it's kind of stupid. It's like, to deal with this situation, you just get rid of one of your kids. And I'm not talking like, get rid of them. You just either don't have two children, or you send one of them far away.
Or
She's not going to bother you after that.
sell one to the rich, and the rich will eat them.
She's literally after just two children
Yeah.
to drown and kill. So
Christ.
that's what the ghost is.
Yeah.
But still, I was like, really?
Yeah, just disown a child. It'll work.
No, just don't bring the child to Mexico.
Yeah, no, don't.
Simply put, I was just like, okay. But I don't know. James Wan needs to make up for his losses on Aquaman. So I'm sure this film will make money.
The thing is, I find all of James Wan's films unintentionally funny, and I don't know. That's always just been my opinion. I think the one that came least to funny and most enjoyable was the first Conjuring.
Conjuring's great.
But Conjuring 2 was hilarious, and I loved it because it was so funny. So yeah, I'm always mixed on his stuff.
That's fair enough. The guy has, I mean, he's worked hard to get where he is. I mean, he did Saw and Insidious,
Oh yeah, the sort of films.
Yeah.
which aren't great, and none of the Insidious. He did the first two, or the first Insidious film, definitely. But like I always say with that film, I'm not scared of Darth Maul, so the film doesn't
Yeah.
work for me. But yeah, I mean, I think he's planning to remake that other like Korean film, The Bus to.
The bus.
Oh, Train to
too.
Busan.
Oh, Train to Busan. Yeah,
Oh,
He wants to do
Bus
that.
to- That's the budget version.
Bus
yeah.
to Train On. Yeah.
Boss to Zombies.
It's like a speed sequel as well.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Which I saw the trailer for that, and I was watching. I was like, "This looks nuts! Can't wait for America to destroy it."
Yeah.
Yeah. Just have overweight people on it. They're throwing
Oh, you
burgers
know,
at it.
there's definitely going to be the American guy who's like, I can't squeeze past the chicken border.
I want to watch it just for that scene.
Just for that scene. Oh
Yeah.
god.
It'd be the ace cut.
Yeah, it lasts like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
So
You just do the commentary as well.
Oh, yeah.
over 10 seconds.
So I talked to James Wan about this.
Yes.
We got to do it.
We go. I mean, it was day 6 of shooting, and I was like, "Where's my American fat guy?" We weren't sure if he was going to turn up for the scene, because this is one of the most important scenes in the film. Is the fact that this fat American cannot get past the chairs. Because the point I was trying to make with this, he goes on to some like
American consumption
American
leads
consumption.
to death.
You see, his weight led to his end. I think that's quite poetic.
And have a Kentucky accent. Oh, I love
Yeah,
that.
he's trying to like literally go waxing poetic
Yeah.
with like this dumb film and stuff like that.
See, I was inspired by that scene in Bruges when they were going up the tower.
Oh god, like anyone who knows about good filmmaking has watched like In Bruges. James Wan probably has, but I'm sure the people who are producing this film has not watched In Bruges. Oh gosh, we have I can't wait for more people to ruin films I like just because it's in a different language. I cannot wait.
It's kind of enjoyable.
I like culture being tampered with. I love it.
Yeah, it's interesting.
You know what my favourite thing about, like, let's say different cultural remakes, if they're good or bad, just seeing the take on them. Most of the time they're awful takes inspired by their terrible culture, America. But a lot of the times you can get very interesting minor variations.
Yeah,
sometimes but at the same time I don't take that one scene as I should give that credit.
I'm more like saying, like, one off there might be a film that's a good, like The Good, Bad and the Weird. Great adaptation.
Oh, if you're talking about stuff like that,
and then,
that's fine.
For me, Death Note, Netflix, great
Death
adaptation.
Note, Netflix, and then you also got like Seven Samurai,
Magnificent
Seven, stuff like that.
That's its take on it.
Yeah, that's what
Magnificent Seven is the American one.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And I mean that stuff with that is fine, but I still kind of go by my whole like no remake adaptation that will ever be good because it can't, because for various reasons. But I don't know, we need a mass loss for them to really realize that. Obviously Ghost in the Shell wasn't enough.
No.
Battle Angel, like I said, has been pushed back 2 months because it was originally going to release December 31st, pushed back to February.
I think something else was I'm trying to remember, there was something else that's pushed back and I can't remember. Oh, it was that Days Gone game, the one with the freakers that's trying to be The Last of Us.
Oh,
yeah.
No, I know.
I don't know.
No wonder why.
Remember on stage there, the zombies hanging upside down at E3.
Oh, I don't know anything about. That has been removed from my memory, simply put.
I'm following it because it's so funny.
Oh gosh. Anyway, Ferret, do you want to talk about the next trailer we have? Not Bird's Nest.
Bird's Nest.
It's close.
Look it up.
Close, am I close?
You're close.
There's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, this is podcast 100. Come on, man.
A bird box.
Yeah.
I mean, I was half correct.
Technically,
I am. But Bird's Nest looks. I'm sorry. Can somebody take this from me? I'm so sorry. From my point of view, it's a fantastic trailer so far.
Okay.
I think it's interesting. Bird's box.
Yes.
Bird box. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not going to say it.
Okay. Yes. This is a film that no one's talking about.
Yeah.
In the way I'm seeing, no one's talking about this film, and not even Netflix seems to be really hyping up. They're too busy worrying about the Haunting TV series
and the new Castlevania series.
And Sabrina and her
Chilling Adventures of Sabrina.
The Chilling Adventures of Goth Girl.
Yeah. That's my my poetry book.
Yeah, like, oh god, that show is
I haven't watched it yet. I'm intrigued by it.
Nor has anyone.
It's on the front page of Netflix.
Of course it would be, because you like Riverdale. Do you like Riverdale? You'll like this.
That show.
Anyway.
But yeah.
This film reminds me a lot of The Mist.
Okay.
And it reminds me of A Quiet Place.
Yes.
Except Bird Box feels like a well-grounded, thought-out concept. Even in the trailer, the rules and the threat make sense. And everything is established, and even the characters, they're not making dumb decisions. They're making literal, reasonable decisions that, whether you agree with them or not, make sense. They're raising points. Unlike A Quiet Place, which it borderlines on nonsensical frustration.
I still haven't seen it yet.
A Quiet Place is by far one of the most retarded films of 2018.
All right.
Big time, because I'm sorry, it's a film for dummies.
Okay.
It's baby's first horror film.
I haven't seen it. I can't comment.
I don't know. But
it is. It's rubbish. Like, I'm sorry, when you're there's too many things to go, and all I'm gonna say is, for whatever reason, the main character decided to put a post-it note saying, "What is their weakness?" And I'm like, really? You needed to write that, despite the fact in the film you already know what their weakness is? Don't make noise.
That one with Jim.
Who's Jim?
Who?
You know your neighbour. No,
What?
the
Rosie's
guy
friend.
from the Office, Jim, the actor.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, okay.
Jim the actor's the best name now, though.
Jim
like him.
Jim actor.
Yeah.
He's going far in Hollywood.
He's a real human.
Jim. I like that. Good name.
Gosh.
Good man.
But yeah, I mean, this the only downside about this film is it doesn't visually look very nice. I don't think.
The what was it? Color palette? I can't remember the right words.
Bland.
Yeah, it just.
I think it's flat.
Yeah, flat.
It's honestly flat, and I think there's points where it kind of borders on TV movie, which is
Yeah.
really unfortunate. Like the scene where they're in the forest, that looks pretty nice, but then everything else looks like something I'd watch on Channel 5 sometimes, which is a massive shame. I don't know what happened. Maybe it's a budget thing. Maybe, I mean, it looks better than like Pet Cemetery with its shaky cam, as we talked about.
Oh, and a lot better than the Miss TV show. That show was trash.
I forgot about that.
Good.
Oh,
Again, there's only one scene in it that's even remarkable, and that's it. Everything else, just throw it in the fire.
oh boy! But like the idea of the monsters or this infection or whatever the hell it's supposed to be, literally manifesting itself into your personal horror is a great concept. Like that's really good, because you can get away with not ever showing anything, but at the same time you can get away with so much variation.
Yeah.
You could have so many horrific things happen and be seen in this film, and I think that's such a strong like visual. Like it's like, you know, just thinking about all the things they could do with this is so great, and just the concept in its own. And I mean, and just the fact that you literally need to be blind in order to get through this apocalypse of virus thing is great. I think that's worked so well. And even like the whole fact they have like the bells to let them know where they are, and like I kind of stumbled on a pretty funny theory where I was like, given the fact that the child actors are mostly going to not be saying much and being blindfolded, does this mean their performance is going to be enhanced?
Yes.
Like, is this
99% of child actors would be
is this the key to actually having good child performances? Not to say there are bad
No.
child actors, there are some really good ones, but like
Stopping them talking is instantly improving.
and
their
at the same
performance.
time, I was thinking as well, is this partly a little metaphor for what they say to children, seen but not heard?
Yeah.
Is that what they're kind of going on, maybe?
Possibly.
Because I don't think these children are going to be saying much, because even in the trailer they weren't screaming much like in World War Z, where the children are constantly making noise.
I do want to say one thing. I kind of wanted to watch this film as soon as I saw Sandra Bullock was in it.
Oh yeah, like surprise.
Yeah. Ever since I saw Speed 2, when she's in the film, honestly, she makes Speed 2 enjoyable. Well, her and Willem Dafoe. Other than that, the film can't even watch it. But her performance is hilarious.
Yeah.
In the best way. And now everything she's in, I have to watch. Because...
And she was even in a car as well.
Yeah. She earns so much respect for that film, in my opinion.
Fair dues.
So, yeah.
I don't have any beef with Speed 2.
Yeah.
No, Speed
Can't wait for Speed to be remade.
Yeah. This time it's going to have zombies, though.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
It's going to have...
Speed to Busan.
It's going to have zombies and a multi-diverse cast, which will make fans of the original get upset because there isn't anyone white representing them in the film.
Yeah, that's true. They're going to say Oscar's not so white anymore.
Yeah. Big time. That's how it works now,
At least he's a happy Vietnamese fella.
Yeah.
I guess.
Exactly.
But yeah, this really, honestly, I think we're all pretty happy with this film.
Yeah.
Like this is like a big shock. I'm very interested to see just the whole idea of like kayaking while blindfolded.
Yeah.
Possible gunfights while blindfolded and whatever else.
When's
like
Daredevil when you need him?
Yeah. Cameo, innit?
Yeah.
You know, I'm pretty sure they're going to be cancelling Daredevil season 4 very soon.
Funny
so
enough,
maybe he can make a cameo.
I think Luke Cage and Iron Fist have been cancelled.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to move everything over to Disney platform.
That's what I was making reference to.
Yeah.
Which, bit of a shame, but I mean, I'm pretty sure the other two are going to be gone soon.
Yeah. So they haven't cancelled Jessica Jones, Daredevil, or Punisher yet.
I think they're clever not to.
Yeah.
My only concern is DVD distribution.
Exactly.
I wonder if they're going to just say, screw it, you ain't getting season 2 or 3 or whatever.
Which would be a piss take.
It would be a big piss take because given Disney's history with releasing DVDs, we might not ever see that.
Yeah.
This might be the first time when a Marvel property actually gets put in the Disney vault.
Yeah.
a line so many fans hate hearing. We're getting this out of the Disney Vault, now we're putting it back in the Disney Vault. Oh, jeez.
Fucking hell, Disney.
Big time. Let's move on to our final trailer of this podcast, which I believe you have, isn't it?
Yes. So this is the trailer for Escape Room, which, as many have pointed out in the comments of the actual video, looks like a kind of hybrid of Cube and Saw, but obviously based on the premise of real-life escape rooms, but with a dangerous twist.
Ooh.
It looks like it's going to be very cheesy and fun. That's really all I have to say, but the trailer looks like it spoiled way too much.
Oh yeah, like they pretty much confirmed everyone who dies.
Yeah, and they literally showed how they get out of the first room in the trailer.
Yeah,
like,
and it was
really?
like, oh, cool.
No need to watch the movie now.
Yeah, literally, like, just description, download link, guys. There you go. I just saved you like £15.
And
yeah,
1.5 hours.
Yeah, big time. I saved you some time. This film is desperately trying to be Saw.
I know.
It is so desperately trying to be Saw. Even to the point where, I don't know if you guys saw, have you seen the poster for this film?
I have not, no.
It's literally the main character's face with jigsaw pieces taken out of her face to reveal a skull.
That's amazing.
That's cool.
Also, there's a very heavy use of puppets in this trailer as well.
like the mannequin behind the glass.
And also, much like Jigsaw, which came out last year, you have character making wisecracking jokes about how something's creepy.
Yeah, which kind of always removes the tone.
And he does it twice in the trailer. And he's like, whoa, that was intense. And and understandably, the woman's like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
And but at the same time, I'm thinking, no, film, you addressing that doesn't make you smart.
That's
especially
really,
if you do it again.
That's really dumb. Yeah. Why would you write a line then...
and then question a flaw like that?
Yeah.
There's this tweet that I always go back to, and I can't remember who did it, but maybe I'll link it if I can find it.
Hopefully.
And it's essentially, if your game has the main character saying, whoa, that was incredible, I won't say that.
Yeah.
Because it's stolen, you know?
Yeah,
I'm not going to feel that.
No, exactly. I mean, I was kind of annoyed about it. I mean, the only thing I mean, a lot of the set design, which I guess is probably going to be the only selling point in this film, I've seen better from real escape rooms.
Yeah.
But and at points it feels like Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah.
Which is I like Cabin in the Woods, but let's not do Cabin in the Woods again, please. The Cabin in the Woods is fine as it is.
Yeah.
But there was only like a few good visuals I liked, which was the I like the room with the wall closing in. I like how it's intentionally designed to like crush and like really hurt someone, given all the stuff in it. And I kind of like that weird black and white swirly room, whatever that was. That's probably the only two things I like about this film.
That's the thing. I think it's still going to have that kind of fun entertainment value, but it's not going to.
It might have fun, but given the wisecracking jokes, I'm probably going to be sitting there going, "I can't wait for you to die."
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, you died. That wasn't satisfying. Yeah. Oh, how much is an hour left of this film? Okay, I guess I'll just go home. Oh gosh,
it's one of those things of like, oh, it's on Netflix, I'll put it on the background.
It is a Netflix film.
Yeah.
It is a Netflix film. And unsurprisingly, Sony's releasing this. So I literally think it is Sony trying to make another franchise because they want to do Escape Room 2. Because there was 2 shots in particular where they showed 2 characters giving a smile, the guy behind the counter, and he was like, "Oh, enjoy your escape room. Oh, I wonder who's behind everything." It's probably either that guy or one of them there.
That actually reminded me of something.
I can't wait for the dead body to get up off the ground and reveal everything and say, yeah, he was in on the game the whole time. And then as he locks the person in, he says, "Game stopped."
Oh, no.
Escape room failed. Dun dun dun. Dun, 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 dun. It can't
and
quite.
It does a flashback.
Yeah, it can't quite
be
the Jigsaw theme, but it'll be like shifted
it's the
slightly.
bootleg version.
Yeah.
It's the bootleg version, or they'll just use the Inception theme.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Boom, boom, boom.
Oh yeah, exactly. Get that guy who's on everything.
It was you the whole time, but I thought you died.
Boom.
Just watch Danganronpa.
Yeah. Or
play it.
Yeah.
If you have a PS Vita, which I know only 12 people have.
I think they're all on Steam as well now.
And PS3 as well, I forget. Excuse me.
I will say that did remind me of something though, with Konami in regards to Silent Hill, because everything has to. They were actually trying to replace their Silent Hill series with the Saw series of video games.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they really wanted that to be their popular new horror series games, and didn't not do well for them. fact, it got worse as it went on. 2 games, yeah.
Hilarious games,
I know.
if I may add.
I kind of love them.
Oh,
for
they're
that reason.
great, but they're hilarious. One of the dumbest designed combat system
in the second, yeah.
I would say the first one as well, but like in the second one, just look that up.
Yeah.
My goodness, like
it's funny.
I want to analyze that game.
Oh, well, I have them both, so yeah. I couldn't not get them.
Oh, let's do this then.
Movie
Ideas
tie-in
happening
games.
on this podcast as you speak.
Movie tie-in games are my jam. I love them.
This podcast is literally being made as we speak. As it is podcast 100, we thought as a special thing and to tie in with Halloween, we are going to be doing 3 discussions for each digit. The first discussion is going to be a comeback from, I think, a discussion we really liked doing last year, and that is going to be the rather interesting relationship with music and horror. And I've just kind of realised I've stole this bit from someone. And yeah, this is the 2018 edition. So basically what we'll be doing is we'll be picking 1 song, 1 album, and 1 soundtrack if we want to, and talk about its kind of interesting relationship with like October, Halloween, scary, and that kind of stuff. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a album or piece of music that technically has dark themes or related to Halloween or October,
but how you feel towards it.
Exactly. Like I used the Beatles' Abbey Road.
Yeah.
If for whatever reason you find that album unsettling, talk about it.
I would
just
agree with
talk
it. No, truthfully, I think that's a good pick.
Okay, is that your pick?
No.
Okay.
Because you said you picked it.
No, I didn't pick it.
Oh,
I used it as an example.
Yeah, it was an example.
Oh,
It's an example because someone might find that to be a perfect accompaniment to October.
The Beatles.
You might find Look What You Made Me Do, you know. That could be terrifying to you. Like it is to all of us.
So who would like to go first? We're going to do songs first.
Okay.
Who would like to go first?
Yeah, I could go first.
You want to go first, Ace? Go on then.
Yeah. So first song is Every Day is Halloween by Ministry. I think this becomes very popular around this time of year for obvious reasons.
Because I talked about it last year.
Did you?
I did, yeah.
I can't remember that.
I did.
Yeah. Well, basically my whole...
Just watch last year's podcast. No, I'm joking.
No, my whole thing on this essentially that it's about those that are alienated away from society, specifically the goth community. And the song's kind of an anthem towards that, of like being you, and for you every day is Halloween. You are into this stuff. It's you know. And I really respect that, and it's something that always kind of makes me feel a bit better. And the fact that it gets played a lot around this time of month makes it even more awesome.
I think it's one of the more low-key songs on the, let's say, the Halloween playlist, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
Which is good. That's a good pick. And that's always good to, like, re-hear about that song and re-listen to that song, simply put. Ferret, do you want to do your song?
Yeah, my song is Porcelain by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. From
Porcelain?
Porcelain from Californication album.
Okay.
It's just such a wonderful song. It's very dark. It's got this echoey guitar, delayed feel, and the bass is quite striking.
Making new words, podcast 100.
It's a really interesting contrast between all the instruments, and the voice sounds very nice and soft and
kind of like how you're talking right now.
No, I'm not intentionally trying to.
Yeah, no, I know.
Becoming a creep.
Okay.
No, that's usually
It's a good
me
pick.
on Saturday. Anyway, yeah,
Fair enough.
I just really like this song.
My pick is going to be Dead Kennedys with the song literally called Halloween.
Yeah.
And this is a great song that I always essentially come to every Halloween basically. And I love this song because it's essentially like an anti-Halloween song that basically kind of like almost destructs it and kind of questions the whole idea of Halloween within let's say how you would put it, within like a certain group of people's lives and how they treat it as a very extreme form of escapism.
Yeah.
Which I like that because it doesn't necessarily say that Halloween as a tradition is bad. It kind of really questions and really kind of tears apart people's morals for the most part. In like why it's such like a big deal for that. And in particular, it's a very simple song. It's got a very simple like kind of bass and kind of standard, but what's kind of said on the album is kind of interesting, where like, you know, he I've got like most of the lyrics there, but and I do like kind of lines where they kind of repeat the whole idea of like when kind of talking about like getting ready and getting hyped for Halloween, where they kind of say you better plan all week, you better plan all day, you better plan all year, you know, for Halloween. And you know, he's like basically saying how like you're dressed up like a clown, you're walking around, and you're, you know, and kind of like the whole idea of like it being such a big deal for you in this such like depressing life of, let's say, manual labor and manual work, that to the point where you just can't stop talking about it.
Yeah.
You're so excited for this one day to just like escape, but at the same time the song even says, you know, why not every day?
Exactly.
You know, to some extent, why not, you know, but then they kind of say, oh, you're, you know, what will your boss say? You know, what will your girlfriend say? You know, people are going to think you're weird. You think that people are going to think you're weird, you know, and that kind of stuff. And I do like kind of one very creepy line where the lead singer kind of does say, I can see your eyes, I can see your brain, baby, nothing's changed. You know, which is great. And I particularly do like the end line where he is kind of saying like, you know, just do it every day if you're so self-conscious and all that there. And he basically says, why don't you take your social regulation and shove it up your ass?
Nice.
Which is great. And I think a lot of people, Halloween is like way too like mainstream, and I think it's become like a massive competition for, oh, look what I'm dressed as this year.
Well, it's become, again, it's part of the capitalist consumerism. Yay. Get your costumes, everyone. Get your candy. Make sure you're impressive, you know. Buy everything.
Make sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my pick. I love the song big time, and I love the image they used for the actual single, which is like an edited image of like, it's like a grandma with like childish drawn teeth and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it falls on the 1982 album Plastic Surgery Disaster, which if you've seen that album cover, it is truly creepy.
Yeah.
Big time. And it was, and I've got, and if you want to get this, get it with the In God We Trust Incorporation EP, which is a bunch of songs which were kind of recorded after the first album, before this first album. I love the album cover, which literally has a crucifix made out of dollar bills with a Jesus Christ on it.
That's strong.
Yeah.
That's quite strong.
Yeah. In God We Trust Incorporation. It also has the very famous song, which is Re-Come Back, which is literally Nazi Punk's Fuck Off.
Oh, I love that song.
That's where it falls on, so which is a great song.
Yeah.
As soon as we started with you, Ace, do you want to do your album?
Yes. Well, it's more soundtrack.
Well, you can combine them. If you only have one, that's fine.
Yeah. So my soundtrack is for the video game Dying Light, which
cool.
Came out in 2015. I've been playing it a lot recently, and I love the free-flowing movement. Just the parkour, it's perfect. But the soundtrack adds so much to this, because it's a heavy mix of very fast-paced, energetic synth, which with an also dreaminess to it. It feels unreal, and obviously the setting itself, being set in the Middle East, it has very Middle Eastern vocals as well. Lots of the kind of holding a note wailing, and it goes so well with the setting. And you can feel the tension, and even sometimes when the vocals are starting, you're not sure if that's part of the song or if there's a zombie approaching, which is intense as hell. I kind of love this, and I'd highly recommend, even if you just check out the first two songs, they are banging. Like, they're heavy synth. I love it.
Good stuff. That's a very interesting pick, honestly.
Game soundtracks with synth, I love them. I talked about Prey last year.
Yeah, Prey. I was just about to say Prey. Well, Prey
2017,
yeah. Because there's so many Preys.
Yeah.
Ferret, do you have like an album of that?
Yeah, my album for it would definitely be Brothers of the Shadow, Sons of the Light. It's by a German composer named Popol Vuh. That's its translated title.
Yeah.
Okay. I couldn't do the German.
Yeah, don't try. We already struggled with the other Ghost Lady.
But I'm sure all of you know it because that was a soundtrack of the 1970s version of Nosferatu.
Oh, it's that song.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Nice. Yeah, that album.
Oh, wow.
And it's incredibly beautiful because you go on a journey, and at the start it's very soft and melodic, very wonderful. But as you progress, it tends to get this menacing background noises start creeping up on you, and it just really messes with your head. And I love it.
I need to revisit this.
Really
big
should.
Time.
It's
I mean,
incredible.
It's cool. I had a really hard time doing like soundtracks. I hadn't picked the soundtrack only because I I just find I am a big like soundtrack person. I do collect a lot of like soundtrack and stuff like that, but I couldn't pick anything because I was more tempted to just pick like a really strong like song and that like one of the main examples. I was going to pick the whole soundtrack to the original Suspiria, but it's really just the main song that I absolutely love, done by Goblin or Goblins or The Goblin or Goblins, because they've changed their names so many times over their career. Yeah, they're literally all known by that.
Next time it will be Nilbog.
Yeah, could be Nilbog. But yeah, I've only got an album to pick, and this is probably going to be one of the more controversial album picks, given how relevant I guess it could be, and given the person it's from. But it's going to be Kanye West, Late Registration, which is his second album, which came out. I can't remember when, but it came out right after his first album, College Dropout, which was a massive success. And this is his second album, which took a very dark turn.
Yeah.
Even the album cover itself, which has the teddy bear, is this very striking image of him coming into these halls, kind of going into the whole idea of late registration. It's darkly lit. He's just opening up these halls, and it's immediately very blinding light just hitting him. And even the photos inside just have this teddy bear like character just walking around this school and stuff. And it was kind of like a very like, and it definitely does set the tone and kind of really establishes from coming like a really dark point. There were dark points on his first album, Graduation, like songs like Spaceship, which was literally kind of about kind of like the working situation of a black person moving that time, and kind of like literally the chorus went like, I've been working this grave shift and I ain't paid yet, and that kind of literally saying, I've had enough of this, I want to just go on my spaceship and fly. And even to the point where Kanye West makes a great reference where he's saying he's working in a shop and he says, "Oh, I bet you they'll bring up their token blackie whenever some other people come through," which is something that has happened and unfortunately still happens. But this is a very interesting album, and I kind of want to breeze through it really quickly, just kind of highlighting some of the best songs on it. So, like, I mean, the album essentially starts off with the song. I didn't write it down, so I'll be going back and forth between audio, and it starts off with a song like "Wake Up, Mr. West," which was a character who appeared on the first album. He's like this somewhat stereotypical black guy who's basically talking about like Kanye West and like kind of the whole situation he's kind of about to present, I guess. And he's a very interesting character because I think Kanye West was one of the first people to really make skits and stuff like that good again in rap music, especially this character who's literally going, "You think this is easy? You think this life is promised?" He's like, I've got a promised face. I ain't got enough, and that kind of stuff. And it kind of goes straight into the song "Heard Him Say," which is the very strangely collaborated song with Kanye and Adam Levine.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Who sings the chorus on this track. Definitely one of his weirdest features next to the guy who composed this whole album, which was the same guy who did the soundtrack for Magnolia and Lady Bird. It's the same composer who mastered the whole album. Yeah. And it's very interesting because a lot of it kind of goes with the visuals, because it is a very nice and somber song where Kanye is kind of talking about the situation he is right now, when he kind of talks about how life could get better and life is hopefully maybe going to get better at like some point, I guess. And like, and literally the kind of idea of like, I heard him say, kind of as Adam Levine basically says, nothing's ever promised, or nothing's ever promised tomorrow day, but we'll find a way, that kind of stuff. And the visuals for the music video, if you've ever seen it, is kind of dark because it's a stop motion hybrid where Kanye and these kids are kind of in this shopping mall, just kind of going around, and I guess it's implied that they're ghosts.
Interesting.
Which is very odd, which is even more weirder when you have the second track of the album, which is Touch the Sky, which was the very infamous song and music video which had Kanye West come on stage during the MTV Music Awards and basically say how the music video for this deserved to win over Justice and the Other People's music video, because he got Pamela Anderson and he was dressed as Evel Knievel, and that was the first time he was really proper like, what the hell is this? I deserve to win that award. I think the music video was great, and also in the relation to the whole idea of, touch the sky and literally kind of going to that high point, and Kanye was talking about going somewhere, being in this place of stardom and not coming back. And next to the visuals of him mostly rapping behind clouds, and given that he is dressed as Evel Knievel with his girlfriend Pamela Anderson, flies the rocket and then dies.
Yeah. Very
dark and interesting themes, and I really do like the I forget the sample used. It was a very sampled, very famous like reference and sampled song. But it's really a very grim song, like visually and kind of like tonally wise. And it definitely has a verse from Lupe Fiasco, which I don't hear enough from. And he has a very clever line, or a very funny line. He's like, I'm Lupin still, like Lupin the Third. And which is great, because he's throwing out those anime references. He's trying to say he's trying to stop lying like he's Mumra from Thundercats, and, you know, great stuff like that. And then we kind of shift to, like, this is when the album gets really dark. And this is the first really tonally dark song, and that's Drive Slow. Now, this is a song, this is my mom's second favorite song.
Okay.
And this is a song that whenever she was literally driving back from somewhere late, she would play this song. Because this is a song that instrumentally it starts with this kind of like drum kick, dun, 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 and, you know, and you have like this very dun, 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 with like the kind of do 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 do, and you have like a saxophone playing in the background. Very night crawling, very night walking, very relaxed city vibes to this song. And the song is literally kind of about like the whole idea, literally about driving slow. And literally, I mean, there is a point where like they literally say, you know, drive slow, homie. You never know, homie. You might meet some hoes, homie. You need to pump your brakes and drive slow, homie. You know, and it definitely kind of has that very nighttime drive vibe, but it's a very dark song. Especially, I do like this one line where I can't remember the rapper who's on it, but he basically says how he's got a car and he's like he's so flashy, so happy that he has this car that he literally opens his mouth and illuminates the dark. That's how bright he is. That's how successful and great he is. And even towards the end, when you have like the sample, the song slows down literally with the whole track, and the samples of someone kind of going ooh hoo hoo kind of turn into these dreary, like ghostly, very slowed down voices, which is kind of cool. And that's immediately followed by another car related song, which is On My Way Home, which is the first song which used a whole like sample of a song. And Kanye West doesn't even rap on this song. This is Common, one of our favorite rappers on the podcast, and who's basically rapping on this track. And what I like about it is it usually uses the sample. I can't remember who sung it, but it literally it's from the song Home Is Where the Hatred Is. And he basically takes the whole point of that. Common literally does his rap, and he literally just plays this part where the guy's literally talking about home is where the hatred is. You know, sometimes it might be better if I never went home again. You know, and it kind of has that very like, oh god, what the hell's going on? It's like nighttime shift stuff, and then we got to probably the most interesting song, which is Crack Music. This is a very important song because it's still relevant today. This song is literally about how black culture and black music has essentially been taken and reappropriated and is used and is referred to within the industry and stuff. And it's a very interesting look, especially given how I think Kanye West makes a great analogy kind of talking about the real music and like the fake music. And he makes a great analogy where he literally puts it with actual distribution of drugs and literally says, you know, we cook it, we cut it, we measure it, we bag it, we sell it. You know, that's that good shit. We ain't sure. Put the CD on your tongue. Yeah, that's pure. You know, and there's a great line towards the end where literally, I forget the other rapper who's on it, he literally says that given that this, literally saying this dark addiction, this dark situation has become America's addiction, you know, and he literally says, you know, we gon' repo everything they ever took from Grammy. The former slaves trade hooks for Grammys. We're gonna keep bagging up this crack music.
That's some strong lines.
It is a very strong and very powerful song, and I'm not doing it justice, but definitely really listen to the lines of this song because it's a very interesting and dark song. I'll kind of wrap it up here with two last songs. Roses, which is a very sad and dark song. It's literally about someone in Kanye West's family being in the hospital, and it's very sad because what it kind of is about is Kanye West is hardly rapping this track. He's just talking about this emotion. It's real emotion right here, guys. It's real emotion. And what's interesting about it is the fact that he's kind of coming from this very kind of vulnerable and hurt point, and there's hardly even like an instrumental one. It's just mostly like a piano, and it's a very skeletal song. And there's some very great lines, very comedic lines, where I think he literally says, you know, he asked the nurse, did you do the research? And she says, can you sign some t-shirts? And he says, bitch, are you smoking reefer? Can't you see that we hurt? You know, and there's another great line where he kind of makes kind of analogies to like kind of like the healthcare system, where he says, you know, you're telling me if my grandma was an MBA right now, she'd be okay.
Yeah.
You know, and he basically says she worked for the church for 75 years. Things are just going to stop there. That's just how it is. You know, which I think is definitely a very poignant poem, and I do like this very beautiful line where he says that instead of sending flowers, we the roses, which I think is a really great line, and it's really what it's about, given this really dark situation. Last song I'll talk about is the song Addiction, which is probably the song that inspired Kanye to go in a dance route, I think, mostly. And this is a very interesting song where Kanye West basically talks about addiction, and it has like a very danceable beat, and he does kind of talk about addiction in a very interesting way, and kind of going through different addictions and stuff like that, and even to the point where implying that maybe this girl he's with, that he's possibly addicted to, might have died through some form of addiction, whether it's because of him or some other addiction. He literally says in this song, you know, what's your addiction? Is it money? Is it girls? Is it weed? I've been afflicted not once, not twice, but all three.
Okay.
Which is very, I think that is a triplet flow. I can't remember, so maybe it was the first triplet flow, which is such an overused like thing in the rap industry. But yeah, this is a very dark album, and there's a few other songs which definitely have very saddening and grim like aspects to them. But I definitely wanted to, because listening back to it, I was like, number one, Kanye West used to be good, and secondly, this is like a really interesting, especially given how it's an album that still speaks today, and it's a shame that you listen to his new album and he's not saying anything.
And then you see what he's saying in real life, and you're like, oh.
And it's like, it's nowhere as interesting or as important, because him screaming about leaving Elon and Musk has nothing to do with the things he is mentioning on this album, or even some of his other albums. It's a real shame, because the guy does have talent, and it's very clearly there. But that's my album. I don't have a soundtrack. I don't know. Does anyone have a soundtrack that they want to talk about?
Well, I have one more song, but that's it.
Do you want to do that?
Did you want to do your thing next, or?
No, I'll do it after you.
Okay, so this is the song "Repeat Stuff" by Bo Burnham, comedian, and essentially the song is about how the music industry and society at large just continuously manipulates the audience and the fans of that by, trying to, with fan service, to buy all our stuff. Don't worry, you're great, you're perfect, you're fine with that, but buy our shit. We fucking need your shit. Okay. Can
I quickly just add more than ever?
Yes. Yeah.
More than ever in this situation.
And him being obviously the musician, like singer behind this, he does condemn himself alongside this, because he wants people to buy his stuff. He's not like outside of this system either. And he actually portrays himself even worse, like almost like the devil in his own music video, which is very fascinating.
That's cool.
I would recommend the music video too. It's fascinating in all the subtleties that you won't notice first time viewing. Just stuff in the background, all the little bits of like clothing and lighting.
Oh, okay.
Very interesting.
I think I'll actually watch the Watch Mojo video then. Top 10 things you missed in that music video.
Yeah. Or what you missed at the end of Bo Burnham's Repeat Stuff.
Yeah. Just put a little red circle there over nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
The arrows, the 5 arrows pointing to nothing.
It's a very interesting video, and I'd say in general, like, his work is very fascinating. And if you want to know more about it, but you don't know where to start, I'd actually recommend looking at the Fake Friends series by Strucci Movies. She has some really good videos on that, and it like handles the topic of parasocial relationships as well. So yeah,
interesting. Ferret, do you have your last song?
The soundtrack that I chose was Dark Souls 3.
Completely.
And there you go. That.
Fair enough. I mean, you don't really need to say anything, do you?
Yeah.
You don't need to say anything.
It sells itself.
Exactly. You say dark. Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, I get it. I want to quickly say, I know we have talked a lot about this. I quickly want to say, if you like that Bo Burnham song, definitely listen. If you have seen it, or for anyone else, definitely look up Danny Brown rap radio song.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is a great song that kind of like really kind of takes the mick out of how the industry works, and literally you gotta have that radio song, and that. But let's move on to our second discussion, which I believe,
the Everybody Gets One.
Everybody Gets One. Do you want to take this one, Ace?
Certainly. So my question to all of you is...
we should say this is a Q&A. Q&A episode 3. Everybody gets one question.
And because it is Halloween, I am going to be very horror themed with this. So my question is your favourite horror film.
Okay, interesting.
So
You got to go first.
Yes, I have to go first. My one is Funny Games, the 2007 remake by the same director as the original film.
Interesting.
It's a very interesting and amazing, almost like teardown of horror films and the audience who watches them without explicitly condemning or pandering to them, which so many others do. Even like something like Cabin in the Woods, which I do enjoy, it still panders in certain situations to the horror audience.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Funny Games completely averts all of that in a way that's shockingly well done. Even just, and I think the start of the film is one of the best things. Just whole family sitting in the car driving, title screen comes on, badass heavy metal music, so loud, and you just see them nodding their heads to it like, yeah, this is nice. It's that perfect moment of you know what you're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
It's
that is
perfect.
what is called a tone setter.
Exactly. It's
something a lot of people don't do anymore.
Yeah.
Just put on the Get Down with the Sickness and then
Yeah,
the
exactly.
film starts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's not only my favourite horror film, it's in my top 5 films of all time. So I'd highly recommend everyone watch this, and it is superior to the original. It's same director, shot for shot, but some things are improved. So
Interesting.
yeah.
It sounds good.
Ferret, your favourite Halloween film, or do you want me to come back to you?
Nosferatu.
Which one?
1970s one.
Okay.
I just really enjoy it. It's
I'm surprised
the
you didn't
best.
say the original, but no worries.
I just like the journey in it.
No,
I
that's
love
fine.
everything.
Well, you
I
didn't
even really like the opening. I never really like openings in movies unless it's like stuff like Lawrence of Arabia or epic.
something that
Epic
really,
movies.
really like brings you in.
Even they just have a little shot of like some kittens playing with a. I mean, I really like that.
Yeah,
It's just
I
really
get
nice.
that too.
And just the whole music playing for like 15 minutes in the background. Really good movie. Nothing
Awesome.
more I can say, really. I love it.
No, that's
So
fine.
much.
My favorite Halloween film is The Shining, Stanley
Nice.
Kubrick's classic. I don't really need to say anything about
Yep.
one of the best films ever made, but it's such an important film and such a well-made film, and it's definitely one of those films that can never be topped.
Yeah.
It can never be remade. Even ignoring the whole thing that like Stephen King doesn't like this film, but whatever. Like I think we know who's right in this front. But it's definitely one of those films that every time I watch it, I always see something new, or always notice
Yeah.
something new, or like. And I think given that this film and the fact that it's a film that is truly horrifying and truly scary, given that it's so real and so relatable, because this could happen to literally anyone and has happened to plenty of people within our current world, and given the fact that this film almost doesn't even seem real,
Yeah.
given that there seem to have been some kind of, it seems like it goes further than just a film, given a lot of the theories and visuals and stuff that have been seen. I mean, I don't necessarily believe in a lot of the theories, but there
Yeah.
are a few things where I'm like, is that intentional or not? Like, things don't really make sense. And I think the idea that this film, the way the film works, I think is truly horrifying in that we don't really know what's going on. And it potentially doesn't make sense. I mean, one of the best examples is that the making of The Shining seems to be part of the film.
Yeah.
As if,
yeah.
because the people have made comparisons to the fact that I believe in one shot you can see like the twins just kind of in the background where you can see their arm, or like there's it seems like that was shot intentionally to be like almost like an accompany piece to the film, but we don't know why and what purpose.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, if it is supposed to be an accompany piece or is trying to really mess with the audience, why? We don't know the message. We don't know the intention, like, and stuff like that. And even the idea of like, in one scene there's a chair there, next scene it's not,
Yeah.
and it's like, why? Is that intentional?
One thing that I particularly loved that I noticed last time I watched it was when Danny's going around on a tricycle, and he's going around and then it cuts to something else and then it cuts back and he's just on a different floor and there's no transition.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's no way he could have got there. Like, this is some messed up shit.
And it's a film that when you really think about it, last thing I'll say, when you really think about it, it makes absolutely no sense and it's terrifying.
Yeah.
Because that's how these kinds of things, whatever is happening in this hotel, that's how these things work. There is no rhyme and reason to horror and paranormal.
Yeah.
That's just how it's going to work.
which is exactly why this one works so well.
It works so well, and it's why Stanley Kubrick is still one of the greatest filmmakers of all time. I mean, he has the best discography.
Oh, yeah.
Even
filmography. Yeah.
Filmography, yeah. Even AI, as much as I don't like that film, I still think is a interesting and fantastic.
Gigolo Joe makes it.
No, Chris Rock Robot makes it.
Yeah.
That's what makes it. I mean, the only big issue I have is the ending.
Oh,
but,
yeah. I understand what they're going for, but it's like, plus pacing's off.
Yeah, it's given that this is literally a film that people keep trying to rip off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in the best filmography, simply put. Stanley Kubrick, and Stanley Kubrick was a genius as well.
Yeah.
I think he kind of predicted the future because he destroyed everything.
It's true.
He literally destroyed like almost all the more significant sets and designs and stuff work for all his films.
Yeah.
So that no one knew how he made it. Like we still don't even know how the hell he made 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yeah.
Pulled a Michelangelo in the minute.
Big time. I know the other filmmaker who, it wasn't intentional, but he still did it. The other filmmaker who made like Journey to the Moon, one of the very first early films.
Yeah.
I can't remember the exact. I think isn't it Journey to the Moon?
Yeah, it's
Like
Journey to the Moon.
1970.
That's the translation because it's French.
Yeah, it's French or something like that.
Le Voyage
de
Moon.
Something like that. Yeah, it's basically the film where like the literal spaceship goes into the face of the moon.
Yeah.
He destroyed most of his stuff, so we don't even some of it's lost. We don't even know how he did some of that stuff. And you look at that stuff, and it's like, how did you do that?
Exactly.
Just great stuff, and I think that's probably why it's my favorite Halloween film, and of course one of my favorite films of all time.
Yeah.
Simply put.
I would say people should, if they want to see some of those weird theories around the film, watch Room 237. Because there are some absurd people, and again, I think it plays into the insanity of The Shining.
Yeah.
Because literally bits, there's like, oh, don't worry, that's just my baby crying in the background. It's like, something's weird here.
Yeah. It's good. If you still haven't seen The Shining or any of these three films, go watch them.
Yeah, definitely.
They are recommendations after all. Ferret, do you want to hit us up with your one question you had?
Yeah. What's the spookiest moment you've ever had in your life?
Spookiest moment. Well, you got to go first.
Yeah.
I got to think about this one.
I was thinking there's quite a few. I gotta think about it too, truthfully.
I mean, I have mine.
If you have yours, go ahead then.
Yeah.
Because I think some of us needed some time to think.
I kind of have two. I'm going to start off with the first one that's a bit small because they're both very small stories. First one's just me and my brother were playing outside our oldest brother's room, and it was nighttime, it was dark, and he had recently got a Furby, which I think it was one of those where you could record your own voice thing.
Okay.
And we were just playing outside, joking about, and then we just heard the Furby noise say, "I'm gonna kill you." And we ran for it, and we were like, "No, fuck that."
What?
Yeah. I don't know. Me and my brother both remember that, but that was messed up.
Jeez.
That's creepy.
The other one was me and my brother, again, they're all two of my brother. We were in the garden just playing around with Action Men at the time. And apparently for the past week we had made up this thing called the Goat Man for some reason. And we saw something in the embankment because we live next to like a train railway. And we saw something shuffling and we weren't sure what the hell it was. And then something literally just jumped over our fence. We ran for it, got in the house, closed the door, and just shouted to our sister and like our mum.
Goat man.
Yeah, literally, the goat man's there. The goat man's outside. There's a goat man, and my sister was confused. She went to the door, opened it, and there was a man just standing there. She just slammed it and was like, "No, there's seriously someone there." And apparently, he was on the run from the police, and he left his shirt outside. And there was helicopters literally around for like half an hour to 2 hours or something. Yeah.
Jesus, man.
That was terrifying.
A big time.
That legit is mental.
Yeah.
Jeez. I mean, do you have yours, Ferret, or do you want me to go?
Oh, I can't. Yeah, actually, yeah.
Okay, go on.
I was gonna say something about a Shadow Man, but that's a long time ago.
We can still say it.
Yeah.
If you legit don't want to remember it, that's fine,
I have the main one was when I was walking around in Eastern Europe by myself.
Something you really shouldn't be doing, but okay.
You've got to get out there if you want creepy things. Well, yeah. I was trying to find my way into town, and I was walking along this big bridge, and it dips down, and then I went under a little bridge, and it started getting very misty. It was it was about it was sundown, so the sky was twilight, yeah. So it had a lot of different streaks of red, crimson, and all that lovely stuff across the sky. And as this mist came in, like I hear this woman saying, "There's like it's a band of gypsies."
Romani travellers,
Yeah, something of the sort. I remember just seeing her, the mist. It's like a movie scene. I remember. Maybe my brain's fabricating it to make it seem like that. Anyway, yeah, she had one eye missing, and she was begging at me.
Yeah.
And I hear goats in the background, with people talking and
that's a
whatever
very
language.
eerie atmosphere.
Yeah.
Very creepy, yeah.
Big time.
And then when I went past her, because I didn't give her anything, I was just saying, sorry, no. I started to hear some angry talk. I thought I was getting cursed. Jeez. And that really just scared me throughout my life, because it sounds like a curse to me. You always hear about these.
Did you tell Sam Raimi about this?
No.
Yeah, it's starting to sound a bit familiar.
Yeah. I mean, even the missing eye bit.
But she did. It was fucked up, and it was. Yeah. I did find my way into town, obviously.
Oh, thank goodness.
Because I'm here.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, unless
creepy.
you're a ghost.
Halloween special.
Exactly.
Ghosts exist. They're
Ghosts
confirmed.
exist.
I guess to some extent, I haven't really had too many scary moments in my life. Honestly, it's only I've always ever been at the kind of the forefront of what people have supposedly seen and heard and stuff like that.
Yes.
The only thing that was I think really stupid things scared me as a child, which is something I could talk about on a different discussion or video or something like that. But the only time I guess I even came close to it, because I'm the kind of person where I don't care if it's a ghost, I'll fight that.
Yeah.
But I remember we were at where was it? It was somewhere in England. It was for a school trip that our school goes to as an annual kind of thing. And I believe it was that. And I remember we were going to a castle, to which I guess the tour guide said that it was haunted by a ghost, or the people have seen this ghost. And they had described this ghost as being a tall, male-y figure with a trench coat and a hat who smokes a pipe. And I remember we're in this castle, and I remember kind of coming up this castle, and my friends, or some of my friends, go, "Oh my god, it's a sign!" was running down, rushing down, and I was like, "Oh, okay." And I was like, "Yeah, okay, you said it." But what kind of messed me up was I was kind of on my own for a moment, and I smelt tobacco. I smelled tobacco, and I fucking left.
Yeah.
Because
I was like, I don't trust that.
Yeah, exactly.
I left.
No, it's understandable.
Because I was like, I'm not taking no chances with that.
Fuck you, ghosts.
Not with
Big
pipe,
time.
man.
It wasn't one of the. I wasn't that terrified. I was like, I'm not doing
No,
that.
you just fast walk it out.
Because I guess they probably did see something, and then it was I don't know what was going on.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'll do my question. It's a very simple one, and it is going to be, which you guys all know, which is favorite TV Halloween special. Could be an episode or whatever. Would you like me to go first, or do you guys have your answers? Do you want to go?
I do have my answer.
Do you want to go then?
It's less just a special, but it's more specials that happen within the series all the time, being The Simpsons Treehouse of Horror.
Okay.
I absolutely love it every time. Even when modern ones come out, I will still watch the Treehouse of Horror.
Okay.
The recent one just happened last week, so if you want to watch that, go ahead. There's actually been some good intros to Simpsons recently, one with Bob's Burgers. That's something else.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, just Treehouse of Horror. It's so inventive, fun.
You're not going to pick an episode?
Specific episode?
Or segment? Because I picked an episode.
Well, one that always comes back to me, but it's more because it's funny, is their Harry Potter parody.
Oh, yeah.
And particularly the scene where they're trying to summon a prince. And Bart summons this creepy little frogman. He's just
throwing up,
and he's "Kill me!"
Oh gosh!
And I love that so much. It's horrifying.
Yeah, it is.
And it raises a lot of questions. So
yes,
yeah, I love that segment. But
fair enough.
Treehouse of Horror, watch it every year.
Treehouse of Horror 12, maybe.
I think so.
Trying to use my knowledge, I think it's from 12. Ferret, do you want to go or should I?
I was thinking of. What's it's like Ghostbusters. No,
Ghost
Goosebumps.
Hunters. Oh,
It's like Goosebumps.
Alone in the Dark?
It's also like that. It's one of those types of TV shows. Children's TV. Crypt.
Tales of the Crypt.
Tales of the Crypt.
Yeah.
That's the one. Yeah. I really like that series. I remember you introduced it to me, Raccoon.
Yeah, when we used to watch the episodes, until we watched that one episode and then we stopped watching it because it was so bad.
It was terrible. But yeah, I really liked that. It's stuck in my head, a lot of them.
Yeah, it's a good series.
Yeah.
My pick was slightly more specific. It was The Simpsons Treehouse of Horror 3,
Okay.
which can be found in season 4. And
Yeah.
Treehouse of Horror 3 is one of my favorite episodes of The Simpsons, hands down.
Okay.
I think it is absolutely fantastic, especially because it's one of the only ones that kind of has like an overarching story, which is basically has the main characters at a Halloween party, kind of just doing things, and they tell stories. The first story which they tell is the case of the Killer Clown, which is a parody of the Twilight Zone episode of the same kind of idea, where a guy is literally being haunted by a talking doll, his daughter's doll. This is like by far the most standard one, but it has, I think, maybe one of the most referential lines in it, which is when Homer goes to buy the haunted Krusty doll as an homage to Gremlins. He basically says, the shop owner basically says, "But beware, the doll carries a curse." To which Homer says, "That's bad." He's like, "But it comes with a free frogget." And Homer goes, "That's good." And then he goes, "Oh, the frogget contains potassium benzyne."
That's bad.
Yeah, to which Homer doesn't say anything, and the shop owner goes, "That's bad."
Yeah.
And then you also have like King Homer, which is obviously a reference to the original King Kong film. Which
that is the great line. I think by Waylon
Smithers.
Yeah, and where it's like women and semen don't mix, and you're like,
Yeah.
come on, Smithers.
Oh,
Yeah.
Exactly.
that's rank.
It's really
But still-
subtle as a
But
kid.
no one would get that.
Yeah.
But no
Yeah.
kid would get that. That's the thing.
Yeah.
No.
And even like the whole idea of like Lenny and Carl going is like, "Oh, why are we going to Skull Island?" He's talking about like
Yeah.
Candy Island. He's like, "What they got at Candy Island? They got apes, but they're not as big." And stuff like that is great, and which I think is great. And I think my favorite segment, honestly, is the zombie episode, which I think is by far one of the best things I think The Simpsons have ever done, hands down. I mean, it starts off with like Bart doing his like book report, and he has to go and like find enough a book to do an actual, because he picks like baby's first ABC or something like that. And like he goes, and I think there's this one line that cracks myself up so much. He goes and he finds a Where's Waldo book.
Oh yeah.
And he opens it, and it's just the page of Waldo's just standing there, and Bart just goes, "Damn, he's just not trying anymore."
Yes.
And it gets to the point where, like, because obviously, like, Bart raises the dead with, like, this book he finds while wearing a copy of Michael Jackson's Thriller on his head, of course. And I think what happens is literally one of the funniest and one of the best succession of jokes I think I've seen in any kind of piece of media. Like when Bart and Lisa do raise the dead, they literally run to Homer and they go, it's like, Dad, we did something terrible. He's like, "Did you wreck the car?" He's like, "No." "Did you raise the dead?" "Yes, but the car's okay." And he's like, "Yeah." And he's just nothing. He's just fine about it. And even to the point of them having to board up the doors, and he goes, "Oh yeah, that's what I was supposed to do." And like even when they like the zombies do get him and like they tap on his head and they go, "Brains, brains."
I love that bit so much.
But I think the best line, one of my favorite lines in all of Simpsons, is in this episode, and it is one of Matt Groening's favorite lines as well, which is literally the moment where like they arm themselves and like Flanders comes by and Homer just shoots Flanders dead.
Oh yeah.
And then Bart just goes, "Whoa, you shot the zombie Flanders," and Homer goes, "He was a zombie?"
Yeah.
which I think is the perfect example of good comedy.
Yeah.
That line right there, that scene, that moment. And even I do love the fact that even as the episode ends, they basically say how they stopped the zombie apocalypse, put the zombies back in the grave, and they say, "Good thing we didn't become a bunch of mindless zombies," as they sit down
in front of
watching the TV.
Yeah.
And it really just lingers on that shot, which is great.
I remember
and I think
that.
there's a point where Homer even goes, "Man, fall down." Funny, which is great, and I think it's doubly very interesting as commentary. As soon as a lot of people consider The Simpsons to be zombies, as of right now, as soon as it's been on TV for so long.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my pick, and we're gonna hit us off with the very last discussion. Ferret.
I already got my thing, but
we gotta
what
tell
we're
people what
going
it
to...
is, yeah.
Yeah, I was getting to it. I like teasing a little bit.
Fair enough.
First little tease. But yeah, what we're going to be asking is recommending a favourite episode of the podcast.
Because there is a chance that this could be someone's very first podcast they're listening to. So it's kind of like a starting point to some extent for whatever reason.
And I think a very, very clean place to start is probably the E3 one. The first one we ever did. That was when we had a very big... We had everyone there.
It was the biggest cast
people.
we had. It was literally me, you, Obsidian. We also had Tourette's Forever, aka Luke Skywalker, and I think we even did a part 2 to that where it was me and Larry from America, where we just talked about Dark Souls and JoJo.
Yeah,
which is a good starting point. It got crazy, and I think even the aftermath of like everything that happened and the whole organization. I think even to the point where when we recorded that, we did that at my grandma's house. And I think there's a point where my grandma's like, "Yeah, you done doing your thing yet?" And I'm like, "No, grandma." I don't think that was on audio recording, but still.
And that's also when Ace joined in, you know.
Yeah, that was one of the first ones, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think before that it was just you and I.
Yeah.
And then it was a bit dry sometimes doing that parent. It was good, but now it's got 3,
well, everyone has
and now
their
we have
point,
more.
Yeah.
It's a very good
have
point.
The family.
I think it's a very good point to.
This podcast is all about family.
Exactly.
It's all about family. Ace, do you have a podcast you'd
that
like to
That was actually my one.
Was it?
Yeah.
Got in there first.
Again, it's just got that brilliant blend of comedy, and there's so many voices all saying different bits. It's kind of amazing, and I think it's a good start of understanding what kind of content this podcast's about. Like the humour, talking mostly about games, but obviously we do talk about other stuff as well. I just kind of love that. There's also a few moments that I typically love, specifically the argument about Thang, which I can't remember what episode that's on for Street Fighter 5.
Oh, I do not know. I'm sorry.
I love that bit, and even the previous episode where we argued about it. That was great. Yeah, those moments are fun for me.
Okay. One of those was one of my many recommendations, but I'm actually going to put the best and the worst of 2016.
Okay.
Because much like the E3 special, that was like a collection of so many voices, many people, and it was. I remember it was next to the E3 podcast. We did 2 tough podcasts that year. It was that, and then it was this one where we were literally recording that podcast on Christmas Eve, and we didn't finish till about, I think, 11 o'clock or something like that. And I think it would literally go to the point where I was literally with you two, because we had Tourette's on that podcast. I was literally like, you guys got to get the hell out of here, because it is going to be Christmas in an hour.
Yeah. Wasn't someone else on that as well?
Tourette's, I believe.
No, there was another person on Skype.
I think it was Matt.
Yes.
I think it was Matt, maybe Larry as well. Yeah. But yeah, I think that was such a good one, because it was definitely kind of brought together, and you definitely learned a lot more about us as characters and what we liked, and even the debates where I think that was the podcast where I think you brought up something which I didn't like, and you knew that I didn't like it, and you were like, you're not gonna like this, and when you mentioned it, I was like, oh god, no. Which I thought was hilarious. But
was that also the one where I said something I hated and you put it on your top 10 list or something?
It might have been the same podcast, yeah. I think we literally I think me and you literally ripped the hell out of that one thing, and then you went, yeah, it's my number 1.
Yes.
Yeah, I had to.
What was it? The polar bear thing?
I can't remember.
Something of the North?
Yeah, Norm of the North?
Norm of the North.
Norm of the North.
Norm of the North.
And the thing is, do you know the thing is, that's not ironic. That's not I'm not trying to... That was unironic. I literally did actually really like...
perfect.
Oh my gosh, we were having you for that, man. Oh my gosh, that was a fun time. Oh gosh, good memories. So there's some recommendations for you guys, but at the same time, you could start at any point if you wanted to. Yeah. Really, it doesn't really matter. They're not in order. This isn't the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, no. I would put a disclaimer over the period of the podcast, political views have changed and stuff, because I think during a period I was very alt-lighty, and I don't like that stuff anymore.
Okay.
So yeah, disregard any of my idiotic ramblings because I really didn't know much.
So just avoid podcast 1 to 99. I'm joking.
Yeah, no, I can't remember. I think it started 2017 early 2016. I can't remember, but it goes after a few months.
Well, things change.
Exactly.
Things change, so I wouldn't worry about that too much. Much like the face of this podcast, things can change and go in certain different directions and such. But yeah, pretty much at the end of the podcast, guys. Podcast 100 has been a long one. We've done this, haven't done a long one like this in a while. But I think it was definitely worth it because we had a chuckle. But I think the last thing we have to talk about is obviously the episode. Not the episode, the video of the episode, which is going to be the Slashstreet Boys I'll Kill You That Way, which is obviously a Backstreet Boys parody involving your favorite serial killers, Ghostface, Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers, Jason and Leatherface, all talking about how they're going to kill you.
Perfect.
When you die,
Who knew Michael Myers had such a beautiful voice?
I know.
Who knew? I'm so glad this is even a thing.
It's beautiful.
And it's perfect just in time for Halloween. Understandably, it already has millions of views.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure a few of us have probably contributed about 1 million to that, like a few million, but still. Anything else you want to add to the podcast before we wrap this up?
Oh yeah, I did actually recently rewatch the Lord of the Rings extended trilogy for like 12 hours, and it was still fantastic.
Good job.
I love that.
It holds up, man.
It's so good. The effects are amazing.
Have you ever cried during that? Because I have.
I think I cry a lot during that. It's a best trilogy.
Beautiful.
You cry at all deleted scenes, do you?
Yes.
Anything with...
Everything Christopher Lee that's deleted.
Oh, definitely.
Like, his death scene is deleted from the actual main theatrical cut. So he just disappears from the film.
Yeah, what a waste. What an absolute
silly.
Waste of good talent.
I know. But yeah, brilliant. Spend a whole day doing that, and then spend a whole day watching the 9-hour Flat Earth documentary.
Flat Earth?
What? It's trust me, you need to watch it. It's so
9
confusing.
hours?
9-hour Flat Earth documentary.
Christ.
If you haven't watched it, don't know what to tell you.
Real quick, because I don't want to make the podcast that much longer, and just for context for some people, is it discussing why people think the Earth is flat?
No, it's discussing why Earth is flat. Okay. And it's so confusing. It's amazing.
That sounds
not worth my time then.
No. If it's in the background, watch it. But like, unless you're me and you've got 9 hours to throw away of your life, you don't need to watch it.
That's a big statement right there, my dude.
Exactly.
Okay, well that was podcast 100. I will say, this is the last thing I'm going to say to you guys. We got 5 podcasts left before the end of the year.
Yeah.
And that goes to everyone else who's listening as well. Might be best to start doing those lists. Best and worst of 2018. I'm not saying write them, I'm saying maybe start thinking about those things that you liked, those things that you hated, and all that kind of stuff, because for sure there will be a podcast discussing all the things we loved and hated over this year, so we can kind of make another countdown. 5 more to go, guys. Podcast 105, the best and the worst of 2018. And boy, is it going to be big.
Yeah.
I know it's going to be big, because this year was something.
It was messy.
Yeah.
But I do want to say that my worst, I'm not really going to have a worst of list. It's more just if there's anything so notable that was bad, that's what I'm not going to put a full out worst list.
Yeah.
I don't want to give them attention if they're bad.
That's understandable, just don't include them.
Exactly. So, yeah.
Fair enough, but I'll do this like I always do, or I'll say like I always do. I was the Angry Raccoon.
I was Ferret.
I am Ace.
And we will see you on the next podcast. And thank you guys for being on the podcast for all 100 podcasts. And thank you to everyone who has been listening over the last few years or so. Yeah. We really appreciate. And 100% we will definitely see you on the next podcast. All right. Laters, guys.
Peace out.